It's a big day as far as India's defense space is concerned, and we really do have the man of the moment, Eric Trappier, the chairman and CEO of Dassault Aviation, joining us right here on the Times Network. Thank you very much, Mr. Trappier, for being with us. You finally inked a deal, one that did take a few years to come through, but it's finally a reality. We Indians like a good bargain, but as the chairman and chief executive of Dassault, are you happy with the deal today?
Yes, I feel very proud about this deal and honored by what the government of India decided to finalize the deal, because it has been a long, outstanding partnership between India and France, and between India and Indian Air Force and Dassault since 1953 with Ouragan, Mystère, and then Mirage. So it's a big day also for France, and a big day for Dassault, and we are more than satisfied to have been able to close the deal today.
More than satisfied is an interesting term that you're using there, because you've literally negotiated with two governments, two regimes, so to say. Does that happen with you very often around the world? Is that an experience that you relive across the countries? And what really clinched the deal this time? 36 Rafales, yes, but what really clinched it this time?
I think that first of all we have to remind that the Rafale has a high level of performances, and which was evaluated by Indian Air Force a few years ago. And based on this evaluation, Rafale has been recognized to be the best. So since that time, we have been working on a deal, and well, it started with 126, and we jumped to 36. But end of the story is that the Rafale will be part of the inventory of the Indian Air Force, and I think this is really based on the performances of the Rafale. The omni-role capability, meaning is that it can be air defense superiority, the best aircraft. It can be air-to-ground, recon mission, all types of mission. And we all know that today, unfortunately, tensions between countries lead to have a good security and defense for your country and with armed forces. So I think it's good to go to modern equipment for the Air Force.
And it's always good to be prepared. You did mention the fact that the deal size came down from 126 to 36 eventually. One is tempted to ask you, what made you stay on in this deal? Are you anticipating to supply more? Is there a promise of more follow-on orders? Will you help our viewers understand why did you choose to stick along? Are you expecting more follow-on orders?
For the time being, the deal is for 36, and we will work to answer to this contract. What we will do is really to start a partnership here in India, meaning is that Dassault and partners like Thales or Safran or MBDA will really create companies here in India with partners, not alone, and we will develop our relationship with these partners in order to create work, create high level, because we are all part in a high level technologies businesses. So we really want to be in India. So that will also answer clearly to the policy of the Prime Minister, what is called the Make in India.
That's right.
And it's an opportunity for us. So it's not a constraint. It's really an opportunity to be here in India.
I want to get down to the basics of this deal, and I want to get down to the specifics, because viewers would want to know, how soon does one expect delivery?
Deliveries will come within 3 years, and that is the time to produce the aircraft. It's also time to adapt specificities which were requested by Indian Air Force for their own requirement, and then it will go very fast. So this first 36 aircraft, because you asked me the question about do I expect next batches, I will work to get more batches, of course. And if I may prove that besides the fact that the aircraft is a very good aircraft and very performant aircraft, I may be able to develop a real partnership in terms of industry here in India. I am convinced that we could do also some other batch to be ordered in the future.
Is there an informal understanding of a batch in the future?
No, not at this stage. It's my...
but you're hopeful that
yes,
with the delivery
yes,
there will be?
It's my wish, of course. We know that Indian Air Force is a big Air Force.
That's right.
As far as the number of fighters, we know that there are quite a number of aircraft which start to be old. It is known, and we would like not only to have 36 but more. So
the reason why I asked you that the question was because 36 Rafale aircraft are going to take care of only 2 squadrons. We need 15 more, and the Parliament believes we need 15 more.
Yeah.
And which is why I'm going to harp along and say, is there a sense that you get from the government that they will perhaps test you with the first 36 and then place more orders?
I don't know what is behind the scene as far as the government wish. I know what I wish. So what I wish is to take the opportunity of this batch of 36 to really install a base of industry with partners, and Dassault in India, or Thales in India, or Safran in India. And based on this, I hope, success as far as industry is concerned, that it will be good also for industry to get more orders as far as Rafale is concerned. So this is really an opportunity for me, this very first batch. So I hope some others come.
So that question really leads me to 2 other questions of a follow-up. A, what kind of local partnerships are you really looking at? Have you identified partners already? There are some really big daddies in the Indian defense space that you could be partnering with. Will this be in the public sector, the private sector? So there are 2 questions there. Which of these partners have you finalized, and in what areas are you looking at local relationships?
Yes, we have been able to work before, and we have a good understanding with some of our local partners. It's a little bit too early to say who is going to be our main partners, but I'm sure that in the coming weeks we will let you know.
Are you happy partnering with the public and the private sector? Is this going to be an exclusive relationship? How is this really going to evolve?
Well, I think that being a private company, developing the private companies in India should be a good tendency. It doesn't mean the public companies are not good. They are. And for example, we are working with HL as far as the Mirage 2000 is concerned, and they have a very good skill and capability. But if you are able to develop private company, you also focus on investment, private investment. Myself, I could invest with a private company, and I think that it's a good way to develop for a long-term future with companies in India who will try also to have the technology not only for defense deal but also for civilian deals, and to get the technology also not only for India but for abroad, capable of export market. I think India has really something to do.
So you seem to be here suggesting that you will be a part of this whole Make in India exercise. I mean, some of the bigger aircraft makers are talking about bringing the entire line of production here, ramping it up. Is that something that's on the radar? Is Dassault going to be making in India in years to come?
Yes, it is really on my radar. If we can go ahead with a certain number of aircraft to be ordered in the future, whether it is in India or others, we really want to do it because we feel that you may have the capabilities here in India. You have some advantages in this part of the world. You are such a big country and such a big growth of development that it's good for a company like us to be here, and we have the advantage of getting contracts, so that is a help to develop this industrial base here in India.
It's a message that you're sending to the policy makers here that give us more orders, and we'll be here
who
making
wants
in India.
to listen to
but
me,
it's an interesting thing, and it's a big thumbs up coming from someone like you for the government's own Make in India program. What are the challenges that you envisage in this? I'm not really talking just about orders or contracts that you get. What are the challenges that people still expect to make in India, and what are the obvious advantages that you expect to leverage?
The challenge is to have a long-term view, because industry requires investment in terms of tooling, but also in terms of human factors. You may need to have skilled workers, skilled engineers, technicians, and you cannot do investment only for a few years. So you need to stabilize the requirement on the long term. So it's not only defense, it's also civil and self. Take an example of Dassault. 50% is military side, 50% is civilian side. So,
right.
and it's the same with Thales, which is roughly 50-50. So, Safran, which is more civilian. So, we feel that duality, civilian side and military side, is really a must if you want to have a long-term view on the market, and not only the market of the fighters, but the market of defense, the market of aeronautics in general. It's not only defense, it's also, for example, for us Falcon, or it may be some avionics for Thales, and really it's time to think not only India but also worldwide. So it's why I think it's an excellent opportunity for us, and I'm sure with our partners in India to develop such a local base.
That's a fair point indeed. I want to go back to the Rafale deal because you did speak about local partnerships that will evolve in days and months to come. Are you going to be looking at a joint production of spares or weapon systems or tech support? What is the nature of the partnership really going to be?
Yes, we are looking at a capability of producing here in India. It may be hardware, it may be software, it may be services. Why not, to support and to give autonomy for India to support their own aircraft. All these questions are today raised with some partners, and when we are ready, we will come back to authorities, Indian authorities, to propose these partnerships.
I do want to go to the offset clause that applies in this deal. I mean, enough has been written and said, but let me hear it from the man who's going to do this. What sort of an offset clause is a part of the Rafale 36 aircraft deal as we speak?
Well, I cannot comment too much because it's the responsibility of government of India to disclose or not. But we are following what is called the DPP, which is the rules of contracting in India regarding the offset, and we are totally in line with DPP, and maybe more, because we are offering 50% offset, which is a big breakthrough for the advantage of the government of India. So this is maybe the result of a very tough negotiation with India.
Very tough and very long negotiations. Will this deal include a lifetime support for Rafale?
Yes,
it does.
To start with, yes.
What kind of customization do you expect for your product here? Because India has deserts, it has high altitudes. I'm sure you work in countries which have similar conditions, but is there a particular customization you're going to look at for a market like this?
Not really, because we demonstrated our Rafale in India in all types of climates, desert, as you said, or top of the mountains, and we know that you have high altitude mountains here in India, and so the aircraft basically was designed in order to face any type of conditions for the benefit of the French forces. We also are able to operate in deserts, for example in Africa. So there is no adaptation of the aircraft for this specific requirement, but there are some other adaptation for Indian requirement which are in the hands of the Air Force.
As the negotiations progressed and they evolved, so did the kind of an aircraft that you will give. Experts out there are curious to know what is it that India gets on this particular aircraft, what is it that it comes assigned with, and is there any additional stuff that India gets as well? Will you kind of quench those queries?
It's difficult to say. I would really prefer Air Force to comment on what they have requested from us to enrich the definition of the Rafale. But
spare weaponry, missile, you're not going to talk about that?
Yeah, no, that's details which are totally confidential between Indian Air Force and Government of India and Government of France, because remember that the contract was signed between Government of France and Government of India.
That's
so
right.
It is
there a line of credit that comes with this deal?
I cannot comment.
That's a government-to-government negotiation. You know, you mentioned Mirage when we talked about. Do you see with Rafale coming in, and you are obviously keeping your fingers crossed for more contracts and more orders, do you see Mirage eventually get phased out of the Indian Air Force?
At a certain stage, of course, because, but not today. I mean, we are in performance of the upgrade of the Mirage 2000, and let me remind that the two first Mirage were transformed in France, in our facilities. Then two Mirage was transformed in Bangalore in HL facilities with our teams, and now HL is doing by themselves. So it's really a new life for the Mirage 2000. Same in France, the French Air Force continues to operate the Mirage 2000 in parallel of the Rafale. So the phase out of the Mirage is not for tomorrow here in India, and we know that the Indian Air Force pilots are very proud to fly the Mirage. I think they will be at least more proud to fly Rafale in a few years.
I have very few minutes left with me, so I'm going to quickly wrap this up by asking you a few last questions. And I'm going to make one final attempt to ask you, the Rafale that you're going to deliver, will it have the capability to carry nuclear weapons?
That is not
you're going to make them, you're going to deliver them.
We are not delivering an aircraft for this mission. The Rafale has been built up for French requirement, which include that mission, but it's out of the range of what I can say today.
Rafale has been looking at foreign orders obviously for a while now, and do you believe this deal is going to trigger that in the international space, especially at a time when crisis or geopolitical tension is brewing in places even like Libya?
Yes, I think there is a good dynamics for Rafale, and which is now known because first of all the French forces operate Rafale, and everyone may see the efficiency in operations with Rafale, and that is a help to support our promotion for sure. And soon Egypt, Qatar and India will also show that the Rafale is totally in line with the level of performances they are expecting from Rafale. So that will help to also continue to sell Rafales to some other countries.
Fair point. The recent data, and I'm going to take a last question here, the leaks from the France's Scorpion submarine have set off concerns about the security front. What are the measures that you are going to take to avoid anything like this? Well, and was there a gulp in your throat when you heard something like this?
As long as security is concerned, it's difficult to comment because I cannot say security is always 100%. It's difficult to say. Let me tell you that in Dassault we are taking a huge attention to security, and it has been the same for the last 60 years because we are a high technology level company. We are in defense, in fighters. So obviously we have to answer to requirements from our own French defense system.
That's right.
Which apply to us. So normally we have to be very secure in terms of leak of information and ensure that there is no leak of confidential information.
So it's a big day for you. You finally inked the deal that you've been working on for a while, but platitudes set aside and that celebration aside, were the last few months and years frustrating when this deal kept hanging in balance? No,
I think we are very patient, and we have been working with India for more than 60 years, and we know well India, I feel that. So we know that the way it is, tough negotiation, because I think that the government of India wants to be sure that he may have the best conditions, and that is a game, and we are playing the game normally, and we know that it's taking time. At least at the end it's done, so we forget about how many weeks, how many months or whatever. We did it, and at the same time we are still working on the Mirage, so we see that it's a long-term commitment, it's a long-term partnership, so time has no real meaning. Of course, better now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.